the greatest martial artists of all time. One of the main forms of art in the world is martial arts. Unlike many other forms of arts, it isn't only for entertainment and inspiration. Martial arts is a philosophy of discipline and, most importantly, one of the necessities of life, self-defense. So in this video, we have compiled the greatest martial artists of all time. And all you have to do is stay tuned. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and share this video. Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is probably the most famous and celebrated martial arts legend ever. He was a master who thought it was righteous to diversify his student body by allowing non-Chinese people to learn Chinese martial arts. And UFC President Dana White said that Bruce Lee was the father of mixed martial arts, as his style was probably the most conducive for practical street fighting. As one of the star pupils of Master Yip Man, Bruce Lee mastered Wing Chun and created his own style called Jeet Kune Do. Later, he mastered other martial arts forms such as boxing, judo, jiu-jitsu, and the Filipino martial art called arnis. Lee became the world's most influential martial artist of all time when he broke into the Hollywood scene and was the main character in films like The Green Hornet, which was actually called The Kato Show in Hong Kong, and among millions of others who watched the show solely to witness the incredible fight scenes of Bruce Lee's character sidekick, Kato. Then, Bruce Lee continued to shock and amaze the world with movies such as The Way of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, Game of Death, and The Fist of Fury. He was so influential during his time that other ethnic groups were a bit scared of Asians, as the stereotype of Asians know Kung Fu spread throughout America. Helio Gracie. In 1914, jiu-jitsu master Issei Maeda, Mitsuyo Maeda, also known as Count Combat or Conde Coma in Spanish and Portuguese, relocated to Brazil as part of the largest Japanese immigration colony in the world. Master Maeda soon became friends with a businessman by the name of Gasao Gracie. This friendship availed the instruction of traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu to Gastao's oldest son, and like a good big brother, Carlos shared his knowledge with all of his brothers, including the youngest one, Helio Gracie, the youngest of 8 children. Helio Gracie was not as strong as his brothers, however. He was often sickly and was frail compared to his siblings. Because of his less than stellar athleticism, Gracie began to modify the art so that the moves were less strength-based, which resulted in the creation of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Gracie, with his new form of combat, went on to win many no-rule and few-rule matches during his lifetime. His biggest bout was against judo expert Masahiko Kimura. During the second round match, and each match being 10 minutes, Kimura tossed Gracie like a rag doll. But the warrior Gracie never gave up. Gracie's brothers finally threw in the towel, but this identified Gracie as the second best in the world, winning him great notoriety and influence. Later, Helio Gracie taught his style to his son, Royce Gracie, and Royce would go on to win 3 of the first 4 Ultimate Fighting Championship tournaments, proving the style's worth to the world once again. It's said that the 170-pound Royce Gracie changed the world's perceptions of martial arts and changed martial arts forever, putting mixed martial arts on the map. When Helio Gracie died, he was a 10th degree red belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the highest belt anyone has received in the art. Gichen Funakoshi. Supreme Master Gichen Funakoshi died a 5th dan in karate, which was the highest rank one could ever achieve at that time. Like many on our list today, created his own fighting style. In this case, he created Shotokan Karate, which is the most widely practiced karate style in use today. Gichen Funakoshi came from samurai lineage of the Ryukyu dynasty. Funakoshi is credited to the creation of Ninjutsu, which are the 20 principles of karate utilized by the karate dojos worldwide. Master Funakoshi became chairman of the Okinawa Martial Arts Society (NT) in 1922 when he was 54 years old. He introduced Okinawan Karate Jutsu at the first Ministry of Education, which is today known as the Ministry of Education, Science, Sports, and Culture. Master Funakoshi produced the first ever Dan ranking certification in April 1924. Master Funakoshi is also responsible for changing the characters for karate from kara plus te, or Chinese plus hand, to karate, meaning empty plus hand. Higuro Kano. During the pinnacle of the era of the rise of judo and jiu-jitsu, Higuro Kano was ranked number 2 in the world, second to Kimura. The master and doctorate degree holder and developer of athletics in Japan was awarded the Sahi Prize for his outstanding contributions and was also known as the father of Japanese sports. Higuro Kano is responsible for melding various forms of jiu-jitsu into an art that became known as judo. Although judo derived from jiu-jitsu, and judo actually means the gentle way or path, he had to remove some of its dangerous strikes and grapples to fulfill Japan's education curriculums and requirements. Master Kano incorporated physical education, contest proficiency, and mental training in his efforts of instruction. And finally, in 1964, judo became an Olympic sport. Chuck Norris. Norris married his high school sweetheart Diane Holchek in 1958. The same year, he joined the U.S. Air Force. While stationed at the Osan Air Base in South Korea, he began studying martial arts, becoming black belt status in the art of Taisum Do and Taekwondo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Judo. Plus, Chuck Norris formed his own style of martial arts called Chun Kuk Do. Outside of Chuck Norris's movie career, many people are unaware that Norris had amazingly outstanding tournament records. Upon his retirement in 1974, he was the winner of more than 30 tournaments and had an estimated record of 183 wins, 10 losses, and 2 draws. He maintained the world professional middleweight karate champion for 6 years, defeating karate greats such as Alan Steen, Joe Louis, Arnold Orduquez, and Luis Delgado. Master Chuck Norris gained great popularity and opened up around 30 martial arts schools. Studying at his schools were famous people too, and that was how he got his foot in the door to be a well-known movie actor in the 1960s, with his fame rising to superstardom for his fight with Bruce Lee in The Way of the Dragon. He maintained his role on the silver screen and in film, especially with the hit TV show Walker, Texas Ranger, which lasted for 9 seasons. Shojun Miyagi. Another master of martial arts was the real Shojun Miyagi. Although he was never on the silver screen, the character Mr. Miyagi in the Karate Kid films was based on Shojun Miyagi. The actual founder of Goju Ryu Karate was Shojun Miyagi Sensei. Goju Ryu Karate is a blend of Japanese and Chinese influences fused into a hard, soft style of combat. The Bokata and Ukite striking methods were devised as a means to defend one's life during military missions, if one is ever disarmed. Miyagi-sensei taught this fighting style to his military unit that he commanded. Complete with teachings in anatomy, Miyagi-sensei was able to create effective fatal strikes. In 1922, Shojun Sensei began to teach Tode, or karate, in the Okinawan Prefecture Police School. And by 1925, Shojun Sensei was invited to demonstrate Nahate before Prince Chichibu or Yasuhito. 5 years later, Shojun Miyagi Sensei was appointed as the Todi or karate teacher of the Okinawan Prefecture Physical Education Association, Yip Man or Yip Man. By this point, you're probably already aware of Yip Man or Yip Man due to the many movies based off events and teachings of his life. And please don't call him IP Man, because some of his diehard followers will be irked at that. Yip Man was a high-level Wing Chun and Wushu expert. Many of his students expanded his influence in China and beyond. Grandmaster William Chung and Bruce Lee being the foremost catalysts of his influence in martial arts. Masahiko Kimura. Masahiko Kimura was so great, the reverse Ude Garami shoulder lock is usually simply known as the Kimura. He shocked the world stage as he effectively caused Helio Gracie's team to respectfully tap out. At just 15 years old, Kimura was promoted to Yondan, which is the 4th Dan after just 6 years of studying the art. As the youngest Godan, he was able to defeat all opponents until he became the All Japan Open weight judo champion at the age of 20, and the 5'6", 187-pound young master was able to maintain his champion status for 13 years. Kimura was a juggernaut, and this was probably due to his intense and difficult workouts. If you were to work out with Kimura, you'd be subjected to 9-hour daily practices in which you'd have to do 500 to 1,000 push-ups. Doesn't that sound similar to Saitama the One Punch Man? Masahiko Oyama. Another expert who created a style to disarm and disfigure opponents was Great Master Matsutatsu Oyama, who was born in Korea in 1923 and became the founder of the world's most widespread style of karate. From his childhood, Master Oyama was engulfed in martial arts as he learned Chinese Kempo in Manchuria and studied judo and boxing in his teens. Later, he practiced Okinawan karate, and this spawned the creation of his own style called Kyokushin karate, or full contact karate, which means the ultimate truth. In his quest for the ultimate truth, he was penalized during tournaments for fighting too hard, causing too many injuries. He was constantly the victor of 100-man kumite, which were back-to-back battles of 90-second matches. His training was so harsh to reach the ultimate truth that he literally made his hands as hard as hammers to achieve Tamashiwari or stone breaking. At the age of 23, he settled in remote locations in the mountains where he would train all day and sleep for only 3 hours. He would strike trees until they crumbled away, stones and mountains. He would press twice his body weight 500 times a day and meditate in icy cold waterfalls. When he was about 27 years old, he couldn't find an adversary of his equal or greater. So he began challenging bulls to display his concept of karate, the ultimate truth. He dueled against a raging bull for 45 minutes and brought the beast to submission before he grabbed the bull by the horns and literally karate chopped one of the bull's horn clean off. Other shocking stunts can be seen with his knife hand strike of him, cleaving glass bottles and driving through stones, bricks, and ice with his bare hands. And that wraps up our edition of the greatest martial artists of all time. Be sure to also view our video of the greatest boxers of all time. Leave your comments, like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more.